Hi, I'm Matthew at Leisure Pools of Columbus here in Columbus, Ohio. Today we're going to talk about the winterization of your swimming pool. Now we have a method that we use. I'm going to talk somewhat specifically to the way we winterize our pools, just because we build them a certain way, but what we'll go over today is applicable to all pools. You may just need to make some tweaks and adjustments based on what you've got on your setup. Now, the first step before we do anything else is to make sure that the pool is clean and to make sure that the chemicals are balanced right. We're also going to shock the pool and put a winterizing kit in. Now, we've already gone ahead, balanced the chemicals, and cleaned the pool, as you can see. The items that we're going to use today are winter cover. This is a safety cover. A tarp with water bags works too, and if you have an automatic retractable cover, that's your everything cover. You'll simply close that up. We're going to use plugs for our returns. There are two different types. There's what's called a solid plug, as well as a blowout plug. We're going to use the blowout plug. I prefer these because it enables just one person to winterize the pool, and number two, it keeps us from having to lower the water any more than 4 inches. We're going to lower it just below the skimmer, and this will allow us to blow air through without having to drop the water level below the returns. We're going to use a Winterizer kit. I highly recommend these. It's a small price to pay to have an easy startup in spring. In fact, if you use a good Winterizer kit, startup will be as simple as adding water and turning on your pump. A gizmo. This is a device that we're going to put into the skimmer. It will not only plug the skimmer suction line, but also add another layer of protection from freezing in the event that skimmer would fill with water. We've got some space here to allow that ice to expand. The third thing that we're going to use to close is Teflon sealant. This is a good time to seal up all of your rubber seals, as well as just make sure that your threads are good and lubed on your equipment and so forth. And the last thing that we're going to use is a shop vac. All of our pools are built to where a typical off-the-shelf shop vac will have enough power to blow the lines out, so you don't have the need for air compressors. And the other little device, and we use these just because we want to winterize the pool with just one person and kind of multitask as we're going. This is a device we made out of the shop that just allows us to fit directly up to lines and not have to hold the shop vac to each line. Now that we've got the pool clean, we're going to go ahead and put the winterizer kit in. This particular kit consists of 3 parts, an oxidizer, a shock, as well as a sequestering agent which will help with metals. I recommend putting these in the deep end of the pool before we start to drain, and if the water is a little colder and they aren't dissolving, go ahead and broom it in just with your wall brush, just to make sure that it's kicked up and has an opportunity to make it through the pump and dissolve evenly in the pool. Now that we've put our winterizing kit in the pool and we're letting that circulate and fully dissolve, we're going to get ready to lower the water. Before you ever lower the water in your pool, it's critical that you check to make sure there isn't groundwater around and underneath the pool. All of our pools, we install a sump pit and simply pull the cover off. We're going to look down this tube, and I don't know if the camera is going to get it, but there's no water underneath this particular pool. We can see gravel all the way down there on the floor. We've checked our sump tube and we're ready to lower our pool level. Now we've got our drain to waste hose set up. Make sure you check with your municipality if you're going to drain the water into the street or into a gutter. Some municipalities have rules about what water can and can't go in there, so make sure you make a quick phone call, know what you're allowed to do before you do it. But this is our drain hose. This is our intake manifold here. We're going to go ahead and turn the pool to skimmer before we drain the pool. The reason I do that is so that when the water level goes down below the skimmer, it loses prime and it stops draining the pool. In the event that the phone would ring or you might get distracted doing something else, if you're drawing from the floor drains, the pool would just continue to drain. This way you've got a little bit of the safety, and when it hits that level, it automatically stops itself. We are going to do some other things while the pool is lowering, but it's a good idea, put it on skimmer. This is our drain to waste valve here. We're simply going to turn this over, and now we're running the water not back to the pool, but away from the pool, and this ought to take us probably about 8 minutes, 10 minutes on this smaller pool. Larger pools may take as long as 15 or 20, but again, put it on skimmer, and we're going to go ahead and change out some return plugs and go to the next step. While the pool is draining, I'm going to take the opportunity and do a little multitasking. I'm pulling out the return fittings. This particular pool has 2 returns at the shallow end, as well as a 3rd return here on the side, which we install a separate plumbing line for a cleaning system or fountain, so forth. I'm pulling out those returns, and I'm going to go ahead and put the Winterizer jets in. You can see that our water is getting pretty close to the bottom of the skimmer and is starting to slow down and lose prime here and there. It's doing what it's supposed to do, and it'll be done here real shortly too. If you're using the blowout plugs, it's important to make sure you've got your rubber seal on the back side of the plug against the threads, and then you're going to want to go ahead and pull out the cap piece. You're only screwing in the plug part, and we're going to keep this real handy for when we're blowing out these plumbing lines. Now our water is down where we want it to be, and we've gone ahead and turned off the equipment. First thing we're going to do is more or less take everything apart. This is our intake manifold, our return and water feature manifold, and each of our components all has a union on them. That's standard practice for us. We don't cut pipes apart. We unionize everything. You may have a little different situation, but we're going to break things down as far as they can go, and then go ahead and clear the lines with our shop vac. Okay, we are taking off our unions here on our equipment. Be mindful of the rubber O-rings inside each union, and keep track of those. Make sure they don't get away from you. I'm going to set each of these pieces here just out of the way for right now. Now we've got everything apart. We're going to pull the filter off. If you have a band style clamp on your filter, never take it off to the side. Always raise it up. Once you open that up and kink it, it won't seal quite right ever again. Again, I'm going to set this off to the side with the nut just started on there so as to not lose that piece. This filter hasn't been cleaned out for the year, and that's all the dirt that's on it. That's really remarkable, actually. I'm going to set that off to the side. We'll clean that in a detergent solution later. Now we're going to go ahead and start shop vacuuming and removing all the water from each component. Now that we've got the filter out, there is a little bit of debris in the bottom of this. We're just going to hose it out. You can see the water coming out of the outlet and some dirt. Go ahead and rinse it out until it runs clear, and then rinse off your pad. Empty the water out of your chlorine dispenser if you have one. Don't save the chlorine, discard it. Give it a little rinse out. And then we're going to go ahead and vacuum out all of our lines and components. I like to vacuum from both sides just to make it crisp. Now we're going to start with the drain, the main drain lines. What I've done is I've put the shop vac hose onto the blow side, so we're going to blow air into the line and send the water back to the pool. I've got my diverter valve on the drain position, and we're gonna go ahead and turn the shop vac on, blow all the water back down the line to the pool, and when we see bubbles coming out of the floor drains, we know that all the water's been cleared out. And at that time, I'm going to throw this valve over to the drain off position. And what that's going to do is, it's called an airlock, and it's going to hold the air in that line and not allow water to come back in. Since there isn't any good way to really plug or cap a floor drain, we're going to airlock this. So I'm turning it back to drain. I'm going to turn this on. Depending on how far you are away with your equipment from the pool, this may take as quick as 10 seconds or maybe as long as a minute and a half. But as soon as you've got bubbles, and looks like you've got them there, Julie, can you get a shot of that? We've got our air coming back. I'm going to go ahead, keep the shop vac on that return, or on that line, and I'm turning off the main drain. Now I've switched over to skimmer. And I'm doing the same thing. Julie, can you see there's water coming up out of the skimmer? We've got our volcano action, and I'm going to go ahead and hold that for maybe a minute or so, just to get as much water out as I can. If you take the vacuum off and then put it back on, that will allow some of the water to go ahead and cool up, and then go ahead and blast out again. Each time I do that, I get another little burst. And once you're comfortable that you've got the water out and you're really not getting what I call the volcano effect anymore, then your suction lines are done, and we'll go ahead and move on to the return lines. Now this particular pool has, like we talked about before, 2 primary returns at the shallow, 1/3 return on the side for the cleaning system. This pool is equipped with a Polaris automatic cleaner. That's the booster pump for that unit, as well as water jets. So we've got our 3rd return, our primary returns, and our water jets. And we're going to blow air into each of them until there isn't any water left, one at a time, very similar to the way we did the returns. We'll start with the 3rd return. Now remember, we've got our check duckbill winterizing plugs on there, so as we blow, the water's going to go out, but it won't allow any water from the pool to go back in. As soon as you've got air coming into the pool again, you're good, you can move on to the next one, and we should have it.